at this school bus stop in Nova, there is probably one woman that every single person is likely trying to avoid. She comes every morning to drop off this adorable girl. She is the girlfriend of the federal agent that lives down the street. She moved into his bedroom just months after the federal agent's wife, the mother of this precious girl, was brutally murdered in that house, in that bedroom. It feels like she's trying to take her place. It makes you question, did she have something to do with the wife's murder? And what about the other guy that was found dead in their house? A 911 call is placed from a $1 million home in Nova at 7:49 in the morning. 911, what's the location of your emergency? The call ends. Then another call from the same number, and it's another open line. Then for 13 minutes, nothing. Then finally, another call comes in from the same number. A woman's voice is heard, allegedly saying that a friend had been hurt, before a man's voice comes over the line. And he explains, "Hi, I'm the homeowner, and an unknown male entered the home, so I shot him." Authorities are dispatched to this $1 million house in the safe suburbs of Nova. But when they get into the house, things are just weird. Instead of one person being gravely injured, there's two people inside the primary bedroom of the house. Christine Banfield, the owner's wife, a mother, the wife of the 911 male caller, also a pediatric ICU nurse, is laying in the bed completely. Her upper body had multiple stab wounds near the neck area. She still has a weak pulse. They need to get her to the hospital now. Laying on the ground in the same room is this random man, shot at least twice, and he's dead. She's rushed to the hospital, but she is pronounced dead at the hospital. The whole thing is bizarre. And police, they really only have two people's stories to go off of. The husband that spoke with the 911 operator and the lady that was on the phone before him, the family's au pair. Juliana is the live-in au pair. Just to make it a bit simpler, nanny. Juliana, the nanny, she says that morning she left the house around 7:30 a.m. She was on her way to take the 4-year-old, the Banfield daughter, to the National Zoo, and she's in the car with the little girl when she realizes that she forgot to get the lunches that they packed for the zoo. So she turns the car back around, drives into the neighborhood, pulls up to this 5-bedroom house, and she sees a car parked outside the front that she's never seen before. She doesn't recognize this car, and she lives in the Banfield house. She's the au pair, so she lives with this family. She calls the mom, Christine Banfield, who's the only one home because dad, Brandon Banfield, he already left for work. Christine is not picking up. She calls Brandon, the agent, the dad, to tell her, "Hey, I came back for the lunches. There's this strange car, and I think I saw a man in the house." Brandon Banfield rushes back home, and he gets back in perhaps 5 minutes. No clear signs of a break-in or anything too strange. But when they enter the house, Juliana states that she and Brandon heard some sort of noises coming from the main bedroom. She didn't know if it was consensual or not, but there were some sort of interactions, she states. Brandon then goes into the primary bedroom that he shares with his wife, Christine. Juliana states she's taken the kid and they're gonna go hide in the basement. Now, she calls 911. That's the first open line of the morning. But she doesn't really know what to say because she doesn't know if anything is actually happening inside this house. She just was so freaked out. She called 911 and then she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't even know why I'm calling. I'm just paranoid. She hangs up. Then she calls again and then she's like, why am I doing this? Hangs up. And then she says that she hears someone, quote, say, "Drop the knife." And then the sound of, quote, flesh being struck.
What?
It's stated that Brandon had made his way into the primary bedroom. He finds his wife in bed and this unfamiliar, fully clothed man holding a knife up to his wife, and he tells him to drop the knife. Brandon, the husband, whips out his gun, a government-issued federal weapon, and the man tells him to drop the knife, and he tells Brandon, drop the gun. But neither do. And this unfamiliar man starts stabbing Christine several times near the neck area. Brandon shoots the man in the head. He gets knocked down, but he's not dead. Juliana hears this in the basement, hears some sort of interaction, freaks out, runs upstairs, and this man is not dead. Brandon, the federal agent, tells the nanny to hurry up and grab another gun from the safe so that they can make sure that this man cannot harm Christine anymore because she's about to die. They have to defend themselves. Juliana, the nanny, runs to grab the gun from the bathroom safe. He tells her the code. She punches it in, grabs the gun. She freaks out and shoots the strange man on the bedroom floor, piercing a bullet through his chest.
Wait, what?
They call 911 to try and explain what was going on, and thankfully, the Banfield's 4-year-old daughter was physically unharmed.
But was in the house too?
Yes. It's unclear if she was left in the living room or still in the basement when Juliana left her. One of the biggest questions authorities had early on is, who is this man that has been shot? So who the hell is Joseph Ryan? That's his name. And why was he killed inside the Banfield's bedroom? The police start searching through the computers in the family home, and they find the link. The link between this random man, Joseph Ryan, and the Banfields. He's not a neighbor or a friend of a friend or even really a stranger. There's these fetish websites that you can create accounts on. The way it's supposed to work is that you're an adult, you find another consenting adult, and you can potentially, if you hit it off, both meet up and arrange dates together. Prosecutors believe that Joseph Ryan met Christine through one of these websites, the mother of the house. And perhaps both of them bonded over knife play. Prosecutors do not believe Christine Banfield set up that account on that website. They do not believe that she even knew she had an account on there. They believe someone else set up that account, used her computer, created it to lure Joseph Ryan to the house that day, likely without Christine even knowing. October 2023, 7 months after the murders, an arrest is made for the charges of use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, basically using a firearm to commit a felony, and second-degree murder. This person is facing 43 years in prison. 23-year-old Juliana Perez Magallienes, the au pair, the nanny, is arrested. The medical examiner concluded that after the first shot from Brandon, the husband's gun, Joseph, this stranger in the bedroom, would have been blinded, meaning Juliana did not need to go to the safe to grab that gun and fire that second shot, at least not in the prosecutor's belief. Just 2 months before this, Brandon, the husband, took the nanny to Silver Eagle shooting range in Virginia. They allegedly went to the shooting range a few times that month leading up to this incident. And then on January 28th, 2023, just a month before the incident, Brandon went to purchase a Glock for $558. That gun is supposedly the gun that Juliana used to shoot Joseph Ryan. There's so many things that don't make sense. When too many things don't make sense in a case, usually the truth is, that's probably not how it happened. And what about the missing 13 minutes? 911 is called twice in the basement. There's an open line both of those times, and then 13 minutes later, they call 911 again. And this time, Brandon tells dispatch what happened. So what happened during those 13 minutes? When authorities came to arrest Juliana, the au pair, she was still living in the family home, still taking care of the 4-year-old daughter. But instead of all of her clothes being hung in her room, she had moved out. She had moved out of her room and moved into the primary bedroom. Her clothes were found hanging inside of Christine Banfield's closet. She had all of her things in the master bedroom.
Wow.
Netizens dug up this picture that Juliana allegedly posted onto her Instagram stories a while back. The two look like they're on some sort of restaurant date. Listen, I could be just too demure, but I personally would not be comfortable wearing that type of shirt around my male boss that I live with. She literally writes, this question is from a few days ago that I posted but never answered. The question reads, are you dating a Brazilian or an American? Tell us more. Licking face emoji, heart. She responds, no, he's American and it's been a month. I'm just living a bit more low profile. Laughing emoji, heart emoji. He's 38 years old, which is consistent with Brandon's age. Treats me like a princess and is handsome. He's a hottie. Laughing emoji, heart emoji.
This is after
Christine Banfield's murder. Yeah. After the initial incident, Juliana denied that she ever had an affair with her boss. With Brandon. I'm sure he probably denied it too. But after Christine passed, like I said, when authorities went to arrest Juliana, all of her clothes are now hanging in the closet of the master bedroom. On top of that, they found really, really alarming stuff. They found framed pictures of her and Brandon placed on the nightstand next to the bed that was originally Christine Banfield's bed that she was murdered in. Prosecutors said that both Brandon, the dad, and Juliana, the nanny, got rid of their old phones and purchased new phones just 4 days before the attack. Now, after getting arrested, Juliana lawyers up. She said that she shot Joseph because Brandon told her to so that she could defend Christine and the family. At this point, Brandon Banfield has not been charged with any sort of crime. I do think the authorities are being quite careful about how they're handling this case, considering Brandon Banfield is a federal agent that works for the IRS. When asked about if he returned to the shooting range to purchase the gun, the same gun that Juliana would be using to shoot Joseph, Brandon pled the fifth. When asked about why the both of them got new phones 4 days before the murder, he pled the fifth.
He knows that's the best thing to do.
The judge stated that Brandon does seem to be a, quote, adverse witness, not cooperating. Juliana's attorneys are talking a little bit more because they have to make up for all the talking that she did previously. And they refute the idea that she and Brandon created the fetish website profile for Christine. They argue it was all Christine. Christine was trying to have an affair. They argue that the profile was set up on Christine's computer, and she even purchased tickets for Juliana to take their daughter to the zoo that day, thinking Juliana and the baby will be gone. Her husband's going to be at work. They think Christine thought that she's just going to invite this man over to have an affair. Juliana's lawyer argued that Christine was luring Joseph in, this strange man, for months on these websites. Would anyone else spend all that time doing that? The lawyer also states that yes, initially Juliana denied having an affair with Brandon, but you know what? They did have a relationship, but she's had many relationships, none of which were that exclusive or that serious, stating that Juliana just likes to have a good time. I'm not sure how this helps to prove a point here because they're still having an affair. I guess the attorney is trying to make it look like a casual affair that took place, a casual thing that just happened here and there. But prosecutors hit back with statements that they found photos of the two of them taking trips to New York City together. They said, quote, this is not a mild thing that was going on in that home.
And the New York trip happened before the murder or after?
It's unclear. They did not state. But the lawyer also accuses Christine of being unfaithful by stating Brandon and Christine were each having their own affairs and each being unfaithful to each other. There's no evidence to indicate that Christine was even having an affair. Juliana and Brandon passionately deny that they did nothing wrong. They're like, we did not do anything. This was all self-defense. That Joseph Ryan was the one that killed Christine and they killed Joseph out of self-defense. Juliana's attorney states he had just stabbed Christine Banfield. It seems perfectly reasonable that a second shot would be fired to make sure that he's not a threat to Brandon, to Christine, to Juliana, to the child. Clearly, the prosecutors do not agree, considering she's being held for second-degree murder charges. If it was questionable self-defense, if they even thought, it's a little unclear, we don't know exactly where we're going to charge her, she would have likely gotten manslaughter charges. The difference being, typically in second-degree murder charges, you're talking about an intent to cause serious bodily harm, extreme recklessness, and disregard for human life. Juliana has since been denied bail, and an interesting part of this is a lot of netizens believe that the authorities are using Juliana to get to Brandon. During COVID in 2020, so this is 3 years before Christine's death, Christine was actually working as a frontline ICU nurse during COVID. One person said about Christine being a nurse, I don't think I've ever met someone so passionate about being a nurse or a fiercer patient advocate. They were married in 2010, and in 2015, she posted her wedding pictures and she wrote, tomorrow will be our 5-year anniversary. Oh my God, I still remember the day like it was yesterday. Till death do us part. I still love my dress. They even did a photo shoot at a beach playground and Christine is in her full wedding gown. And even when they move into the house that she was killed in, she has this picture that's honestly a bit eerie now to look at, but she's sitting on the ground eating off a moving box and she writes, new adventures wait, just got the keys yesterday for the new house in Virginia and then start the new job on Monday. Brandon's still at the Agent Academy in Georgia, but will be joining us here soon. Hope to make lots of memories in this new home. This was November 2019. A few years later, Christine would be killed in that house. Christine did not die a painless death, and experts stated that when you're stabbed, there's a lot of movement. People are typically conscious still, and the first stab is, even if it's fatal, you're not knocked unconscious typically, so you're trying to move away, you're trying to protect yourself while you're... She likely wasn't conscious when she was taken to the hospital, but still technically alive, with a weak pulse indicating this was not a quick death. As for Joseph Ryan, I think netizens are having a hard time understanding his role in all of this. Most people believe that Joseph Ryan probably met Christine on a website, and he wanted to find like-minded adults that were into the same activities that he was in. The theory being, allegedly, he's under the impression that he's meeting a nice, consenting adult at her house where he's going to have fun with her. But he arrives and clearly things are not going that way. That's what most people believe. So as for the knife used to stab Christine, I think it would be crucial to find out, was it from Joseph's house or the Banfield residence? But even if it were a knife that Joseph had brought, a lot of netizens believe that he could have been asked to bring it. It wouldn't be the most alarming thing on a website where the point is to meet like-minded people who have not as common interest in the bedroom as the general public. So if done correctly, safely, consensually, knife play is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, who's to say, right?
I guess my question is also, let's say he came here for this activity. How did he get in the house and all the way to the bedroom? Because that part, I just don't imagine Christine open the door and just guide him to the bedroom.
So netizens have some wild theories with it, and I don't know if it's netizens trying to fill in the gaps of this very mysterious case that we don't know much about, or if this is even probable, right? But some netizens believe that if you have someone that lives in the house, you expect them to lock the door on the way out. So perhaps Juliana, if she's guilty of all of this, if she set it up, she could have left the front door unlocked. And in the messages, it could have implied, hey, the front door is unlocked. Come upstairs to the left bedroom.
Right.
I'll be waiting for you.
I see.
And then as to how Christine was found, because if Joseph Ryan is not someone trying to assault her or kill her, right? Why was she? There's a few split netizen theories about this. One is that in the website, they were communicating about how she might have liked non-consensual play. And he thought it was part of the act, and she probably did not at all because she doesn't know what's going on and she believes she's being essayed, right?
Right.
So it could have been that, or people believe it wouldn't be too impossible for the husband to be like, hey, we've been having a rough time recently. How about I go outside, grab some fun stuff. You wait for me in the bedroom. The nanny's going to the zoo. I'm going to take a day off work, take a sick day. Let's reconnect. Just netizens trying to make sense of a case that doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't make sense that Christine Banfield would willingly go on this website and do all these things. And it doesn't make sense that Joseph Ryan is there. So I would say the overwhelming theory is that Joseph truly believed he was just meeting someone online that he liked, got roped into something he probably wanted no part in, and he becomes the fall guy and gets killed. Even prosecutors state that that's what they think it is. Joseph Ryan's mom states that her son was taken from her, that he was not a violent person. He's never been violent. He would never strike a woman, let alone stab a woman. She says, this is ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. I can't even tell you. Like, you don't just wake up all of a sudden and decide you're going to be a killer. I want people to remember Joe for the good-natured, loving man that he was, for the man who loved his family. He loved other people. He was socially aware. He was a kind person. She says it might be possible that her son went to meet up with someone he met online, to which she says, I mean, I think it's possible. Joe was an adult. He was allowed to do what he wanted. You don't get murdered for activity, and if it was between consensual adults. He was a good man. That's what I want him remembered as, the beautiful person he was on the inside.
How old is Joseph?
I believe in his 30s as well.
Wow.
Juliana's mother has also spoken to media, and she states, they are saying horrible things about my daughter, that she only did this so she can stay in the country, basically trying to get rid of Christine to stay with Brandon and get a visa, which, yes, does feel icky to say, I guess. But her mom says, it's not true. She wouldn't hurt a fly. I hope all of this is resolved. One netizen theorizes, again, just a theory from someone who doesn't personally know the couple or the case, but they theorize given the limited information to the general public. They guess. My best guess, the husband and the nanny, they started this relationship. They hatch up this plan to kill Christine. I don't know who stabbed Christine, though, and I'm not sure the exact role that Joseph Ryan was supposed to play in all of this, but I think it's clear the nanny messed up during the act a few times. First by calling 911 too early, and then shooting Joseph Ryan. Likely something unexpected happened during the incident that necessitated her shooting Joseph Ryan that second time. Because a lot of people are pointing out their story is almost too dumb. For a federal agent who's pleading the fifth and lawyering up, the story is too dumb. Why would she shoot him when he's already incapacitated? And if you're a federal agent, why would you tell her to go get a gun from the safe when you just shot him with your law enforcement issued weapon? And if he had no more bullets left, a lot of the public believe we would know that by now.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been stated in the press releases or the press conference from the police.
Yes.
Like, because he had no more bullets.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. Another netizen comments, them saying that they're defending themselves, yet she has time to get another gun out of the safe in order to shoot him again. I mean, they're probably lying, but also what a lousy story. It just doesn't even make sense. So the original poster thinks, they believe, that something had gone wrong. It did not go according to the plan because the 2 open line calls, this weird second shot from the second gun. It's just silly to state that this is self-defense. Likely something happened that she shot Joseph, and once they call 911 the second time, 13 minutes later, Brandon, the husband, immediately recognizes he needs to tell the police he shot Joseph and it wasn't the nanny. He needs to get the focus away from the nanny as quickly as possible. He does not want the potential of her squealing or getting questioned, because while he's a federal agent who can somehow keep his wits intact, which clearly it's working, she might not be able to. The netizen further states, and honestly, judging by her social media posts, it sounds like she's pretty dumb. So he claims to have shot Joseph Ryan. He lawyers up. He won't speak with the police. And at this point, he knows that he has to keep the nanny around, so she's not going to confess, even though it's a bad look to the public. Still dating your nanny, right? She thinks that this is going to work out for them. The husband claims he's keeping the nanny around. He's probably telling the authorities for the best interests of the child, to have some consistency for the child. But they're all trying to basically stick it out together because they have no other choice. And now that she's been arrested, though, she's going to flip on him. It's just going to take time. This is a theory.
Now that would be wild.
Yeah. But a lot of people seem to have this theory because she too has in her hands.
Yeah, that's the truth is going to be very interesting to
Yeah.
hear.
However, I did find it interesting. Who is paying for Juliana's attorney? Juliana's mom stated in an interview with a Brazilian news outlet that she has not spoken to Juliana's attorney, which I feel like if her parents were paying for it or if Juliana was paying for it, they would have access to the attorney. Because Juliana, if she's the retained client, she could be like, hey, can you talk to my mom? Because I'm in prison and like my mom needs to talk to you. Also, I don't know if Juliana even has the funds to retain an attorney. Maybe she does. But it would be a bit worrisome here if Brandon is the one paying for the attorney. Because then, would the attorney really be acting in her best interest or Brandon's?
You can do that?
Yeah. I found the photos of the 2 of them in the room where his wife was killed extremely morbid. It seems like a way to mark territory with some sort of victory trophy, is another netizen comment. One Brazilian netizen agrees, writing, if she was innocent, even if she was having an affair up until the incident where they died, they're saying she can't continue that affair. If she is a good person, she would leave. She'd be like, you're suspicious. This whole thing is weird. And they say if she was innocent, she wouldn't be sleeping in the victim's room. But many Brazilians, along with American netizens, agree that they find it extremely strange that Brandon Banfield has not been charged yet. Juliana is currently being held with no bond. The judge stated that she is too great of a flight risk. Her trial was initially set for July, so last month, but it has now been pushed to November of this year. Whether or not charges against Brandon Banfield will be filed is unknown, but there's still just so many unanswered questions. Like, the weird part is, sure, there is this 13-minute delay from the initial call to 911. So when they call back, this 13 minutes fully unaccounted for. And people speculate it has something to do with who stabbed Christine. Because Christine did not stab herself. Brandon and Juliana are stating that the other man, Joseph Ryan, did it. But law enforcement hasn't come out to say that. In fact, they're treating Joseph Ryan as another victim. But how could they have cleaned up and gotten rid of all the evidence that they're involved in the stabbing before law enforcement arrive at the scene?
Right.
Some netizens theorize that perhaps all of this happened a bit sooner. So a lot of netizens right now are just curious as to who stabbed Christine and wondering if law enforcement has figured that out and they're just being tight-lipped about it. Another question that netizens have is, where was the poor little girl during all of this? Was she left in the basement? Reports state that she's physically unharmed from the incident, but I'm sure there's going to be lots of mental and emotional trauma, if not now, then later. People wonder, why? If Brandon Banfield, the father, is somehow proven to be involved in all of this, it just makes him so much more sick and vile that you're willing to expose your child to lifelong trauma because of how evil and callous you are. Speaking of people in the house, the couple also had huskies. I know I saw one, perhaps even 2 huskies that look like they live in the house. So let's just say they just have 1 husky. I'm curious to know, was the husky in the house at the time of the incident? Again, I don't think the husky being home or not is some sort of evidence or smoking gun, but if Joseph Ryan had to come into the house, did they put the huskies into a crate? That would be more premeditation. Were the huskies at the groomers? It's just, from what I know, huskies are pretty protective, if I'm correct. It would just be interesting to know. Hopefully we get answers to all of these questions in November when the trial starts, and we can only hope that every single person involved in their deaths will face justice.